a global license with Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated has however many thousand users. You're going to have the
70
option.
million monthly apps.
70.
Yeah.
Really?
I look at a lot of the prediction markets, the model of acquiring one user at a time. Our model was acquiring millions of users through partnerships.
Truth Network is an app chain on Aventus.
Yeah.
That's the blockchain. That's where all of the on-chain traffic takes place, all in the Polkadot ecosystem.
And with the NBA finals, key date for us, 26th, 27th of May, we'll be going live with the market. And then for the games themselves, we'll be live streaming with some of the biggest content creators in the world.
We spent a lot of money to get the rights to make an app with Inter Miami. This app is just for Inter Miami. Is it going to expand, or what's the idea?
So that's the goal.
Not just the MLS, but any other sort of sports partnership.
Yeah.
You now have a framework there that we know the rights that we need. That as soon as the contract's done, we can start plugging in. And then from day one, you're getting value back.
The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys, blasting off with Alan Vey. He's the founder of Aventus and co-founder of Galactic, and Stuart Stott, also co-founder of Galactic and the CEO. They're working on a very interesting project that I think you'll all be eager to hear about. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jay. Good to be here.
Alan, it's been a long time. I think we've tried to get you on the show a few times, but no luck.
Yeah, man, it's great that we managed to make it work today. I know we're always so busy around this conference.
Yep.
But here we are. And hopefully it's been worth the wait.
Aventus is very busy. You kind of have a different approach to this whole crypto and blockchain thing. Instead of focusing on the token and the one product, you're really making blockchain as a service for multiple clients. You just happen to use blockchain in the back end to make their business better.
Yeah, so we've really focused on the Aventus 2.0 vision now, which is all about app chains. So Polkadot obviously has this great core technology, but none of the clients really care about the technology, right? At the end of the day, what value are you adding that you otherwise can't add?
Yeah.
So we've been able to develop a product suite that allows anybody to spin up an ecosystem, basically. You can get your blockchain, any little customized bits, your explorers, your apps, all the stuff you need to really use it. And you can do it quickly and easily. And so we've delivered this to the enterprise world, focusing on increasing the number of Web3 users rather than competing with the other guys who are interested in the Web3 world.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's really been it. The key sectors that we're in, obviously everyone knows Energy Web in the ecosystem. All the technology under Energy Web is Aventus, Energy Web X. We've got supply chain and logistics. So Vodafone and Hydra, I think we announced that at Decoded a few years ago.
Yeah, we've covered that a lot.
It's been steadily growing. Loyalty, they're about 500 million users. This is with Enigmatic Smile and Cashback app.
Right.
They've got a cashback program in various territories globally, and we're all the technology under that. And I think probably most interestingly for the conversation today, the Truth Network, the latest Aventus app chain, is the Truth Network, and it is focused on prediction markets, which is obviously a hot space and what Galactic's all about.
Incredible. We're going to talk all about this in just a moment. But out of all these clients you talked about, the one, Energy Web, they have their own chain, of course, their own roll-up on Polkadot. I saw, or I heard recently, we had Ed on the show last week.
Yeah.
He shared that they've made a vote to actually migrate their proof of authority chain over to the roll-up as well, which is pretty wild.
Yep. So that's all the Aventus tech. We delivered that Energy Web X. We helped them, their model, they basically followed some of the stuff that we had pioneered at the Aventus chain. Yeah. So token moving from their POA chain to Ethereum itself.
Yep.
Bridging that into their own parachain.
Yeah.
And then, they got their gateway API. Obviously, they deal with a lot of enterprises like we do, so they need proper APIs, key management, all the boring stuff that makes you be able to give a user a Web 2 experience while actually leveraging Web 3.
These other clients, though, they're all using Aventus block space, like the Aventus rollup, or are they going to have their own rollups as well? How's that work?
The Aventus network's obviously a Polkadot parachain.
Yeah.
And then each of these essentially derive security from Aventus. So you can think of them as app chains on Aventus, layer 2s on Aventus, or if Aventus is a layer 2 to Polkadot, layer 3s, however you want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
But all of them, except for Energy Web, but we'll see where we get with that one, are app chains in the Aventus ecosystem.
Incredible. I didn't realize that was happening.
Yes.
You know who else is doing that right now is Mandala's doing that too. They have the chains attached to the
Exactly.
to the parachain,
Similar kind of model.
Yeah.
And hopefully, ultimately, we can have all of these different parachains talking to each other via Polkadot, right? That's the ultimate vision here.
I love it. So Truth Network, this is an extension. We're stretching into prediction markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So Truth Network is a commercial partner of Galactic. Prediction markets for me it's just a really exciting space.
Yeah, totally.
Last year, kind of April 2024, the volume in the prediction market space was about $122 million. By September 2024, it was $2.7 billion. So
Is this mostly riding the election?
yeah,
And that's per month, not cumulative.
Sorry,
That's
how much per month? How much per month?
$2.7 billion. So from 122 million
Yeah,
to
yeah.
2.7 billion in 6 months. And I think with some of the regulatory tailwinds as part of the Trump administration, it's become probably a friendlier space in the US, both in a kind of Web3 space, but also in prediction markets as a whole.
Totally.
And I think for us, it was about finding the right blockchain in terms of the Truth Network to be your partner, something that's been specifically built for prediction markets.
Sure.
And it's been incredible to see how popular prediction markets have become and the accuracy in terms of how they forecast. So having a look at the 2024 election, the Pew data polls and all the polling data was wildly off and inaccurate. And then you look at Polymarket, you look at some of these other prediction markets, and with about an 82% accuracy, they were accurate across pretty much every political market. So it's made us, I think it's made the general public reevaluate the value in polling data.
I've been a huge believer in prediction markets for a long time, but recently I faltered because we had a Canadian election and the prediction markets this whole time had the other guy winning. The guy I didn't want. So for a while there, I thought prediction markets must not work. But that turns out they did.
They were right.
They're right.
And again, I think this is some of the, I see it in the sporting world as well. So you look at sporting events.
Yeah.
I was recently watching a boxing match and I had scored it very differently to the prediction markets. Again, the prediction markets were correct.
Wow.
So I think to about 75% accuracy in sports, we're now seeing prediction markets basically give the data that the wisdom of crowds gives you. And for us, there's 2 or 3 touch points there. We obviously have a global license with Sports Illustrated, so we're launching SI Predict over the next few weeks for the NBA Finals, which is incredibly exciting. We'll be launching with our Gamers versus Hall of Famers. So we have 3 of the biggest gamers in the world, and they'll be taking on 3 of the biggest Hall of Famers in the world to basically go head to head on some crazy predictions. So not your typical predictions you would normally find within the sports arena.
Sure.
Really finding some social currency there with things that are slightly different.
Where are you publishing these prediction markets?
So they'll be on sipredict.com.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see.
So essentially,
Gotcha.
they'll be going live around about the 26th of May. And you'll start seeing some of the content from the gamers and Hall of Famers.
I'm just remembering in Dubai, you told me about Sports Illustrated backstage.
I did.
This is the end.
This is
the outcome of that.
Stuart and I, we
Yeah.
met, a couple of years ago?
Okay.
And Stuart had negotiated this incredible deal with Authentic Brands Group for Sports Illustrated.
I see.
As you can imagine, getting the regulatory approvals for something like this, Sports Illustrated is owned by BlackRock and Bank of America. So the compliance calls, the things that had to happen for this to all come together and be approved. Obviously, Trump being elected was a big help.
That helps, yeah.
But then all the work that kind of happens behind the scenes on getting BlackRock on board, Bank of America happy, everybody good. The approvals, I think, legally only came through end of last year. So then it was a 4-month product build to that spec.
Wow.
And now it's ready to go with a bang. I mean, Stuart's brought in some of the biggest talent in the world. I think the biggest influencer in the world. I don't know if we probably can't name him.
No, we can. So Cabby Lame's going to be appearing in the Sports Illustrated SI Predict platform. And beyond SI Predict, he will be launching a prediction market platform with us for content creators. So specifically around content creators and actually what's happening in the world of gaming, social, and digital, because I think there's so many markets that have been created for what you traditionally see as sports or politics or entertainment.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole arena which has just been totally untapped. And I think this creator world that we now live in is going to be really interesting to see where people go from here. So I think that will be a really exciting announcement that's coming out over the next few months in terms of
What do you call
exactly
this new realm?
It's going to be predictor.io.
And this is just kind of more of general predictions. Anybody can.
So this will be,
what's the differentiator?
So this will be content creators creating prediction markets around what they feel is trending right now. So
Sick.
the content creators have this great way of kind of finding out what's current, and a lot of the time they're the people that actually make culture relevant online. So having these creators be able to come up with predictions on who's going to be the top gamer or who's going to be the most viewed streamer this month.
Yeah, sure.
Is Mr. Beast going to buy TikTok? These sort of things that you would normally never see, we can now integrate into prediction markets.
Speaking of the regulatory line of thinking, though, I mean, you must need a license to do this, or?
Well, that's where it gets quite interesting, right? Well, I mean, first, I think it's important to explain the Galactic business model because I don't think it's 100%
I was actually
clear.
just waiting for an opportunity. So why don't we talk about how does Galactic fit in here? Because hold on, is Truth Network one of these app chains connected to Aventus?
So Truth Network is an app chain on Aventus.
Yeah.
That's the blockchain. That's where all of the on-chain traffic takes place, all in the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah.
Galactic is the commercial partner, but Galactic is a B2B white label infrastructure provider, right? So
Cool.
Galactic does the deals with Sports Illustrated, with the influencers, with whoever else, and provides these marketplaces again and again, and then ultimately provides a widget that any website anywhere can integrate, and it pulls the hottest prediction or hottest markets out of the database and shows them on that page based on the context of what's happening in that page.
Okay.
So think ads, you don't kind of have a new revenue stream. You don't have to just plug ads in. You can plug in prediction markets and get really relevant content there.
I think that's one of the things that we've noticed is we've been working with some of the biggest media organizations in the world, and they really have two models. They have subscribers and they have advertisers.
Okay.
And that's kind of how the media industry is run for the last 100 years. Now they're looking at how do we create engagement and get data that's really insightful, but also drive revenue streams. So we're one of the few products that can seamlessly plug into an existing media ecosystem, but give them higher engagement, things that are relevant to their audience, but also drive revenue as well.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine, especially connected to like a news site or something like that, betting on just what's going to happen in the future, not only politics, but...
I think entertainment is going to be a massive sphere that's really untapped. I think politics is great. I think some of the news media organizations might steer away from the political side because it's a bit fiery at the moment, particularly in the US. But from our side, I think it's creating these social elements where it's things that people are really interested in. And I had this thought a long time ago about Big Brother. Like, you're watching the Big Brother house and the prediction market's live in between ad breaks. And it's like, we look at some of the ways that media interacts at the moment. It's primarily text messaging and voting via text. I think being able to bring prediction markets into like real-time voting, I think makes really exciting media. As you said, I think politics and the news publications, we've been speaking to a lot of them. We're surprised actually how interested they are in working with us on projects, because I thought there'd be a lot of resistance. Having been in the media business a long time, I thought new technology might scare away some of the big providers, but I think they're looking for solutions.
They see that engagement, right? That's what it's all about.
And I think they're in a challenging crossroads at the moment with the fact that there's been a lot of, in America in particular, fake news, shall we say, and narratives. I think the media organizations are trying to make sure that they're being as independent as possible and changing that thought process. But I also think new media, whether it's podcast or streaming or YouTube, is really challenging the traditional media setup. So they need to start innovating. And I think Galactic provides that kind of first stage of innovating into a space, which is really interesting.
And it's a new space, right? Because I mean, even here, it's a new revenue stream. You mentioned betting, but technically speaking, even around to the license point, Galactic will not need any licenses to launch this NBA initial product. And the reason is this is fundamentally different to gambling. So first of all, in gambling, the gambling company makes more money if their users lose. The more the users lose, the more we can create the odds in a way that as many people as possible lose, the more money the company makes. Prediction markets don't work like that. If equal people, preferably everyone wins. At the end of the day, you're just charging on volume and on the winnings ultimately. It doesn't matter which side wins. So it's a fundamentally different business model that is, I guess, doing less evil in that respect, where it's a zero-sum game to your user. And as such, it falls outside the terminology of gambling. So as long as you're not doing what is the final score going to be on a sports game, it's not gambling. Now you might fall into, is this a futures contract? Is this a binary option? So that would be regulated by the CFTC in America or the FCA in the UK. But it depends on what the contract is. If you are doing something social, and Stuart's spoken here primarily about the rumor mill, right? Most of that stuff is not a futures contract. It's just a bit of fun putting your money where your mouth is. So for this initial launch, Galactic is actually legally not required, based on the best advice from the lawyers that we've spoken to have any registrations or licenses.
I think as well, just the way that our technology works in terms of how we onboard and offboard users, the fact that we're at the wallets are non-custodial, all of these elements have been specifically tailored to make sure that we're fully compliant. And the main responsibility of Galactic is to make sure that it protects the brands that it works with. We're working with some of the biggest brands in the world, and it's our mission and it's our responsibility to make sure that we protect their brands as if it was our own. So, and that's some of the conversations we've been having with media owners. Their worry always is bringing their brand into disrepute. And I think they've found a safe pair of hands with Galactic, and they've seen how we've managed the contracts we are offering. And I think if you do offer the right contracts, you can have a bigger upside. Nobody wants to find a way around maybe gambling legislation. It's not what we're doing here. We're trying to find a new product that really stands separately to gambling markets.
Although some of them won't do deals with us because they don't actually want to get at the truth.
Yeah. Well,
you know who you are. Yeah.
Okay, without naming any names, what's an example of this?
I won't name any names, but we've met with some media organisations who essentially they might not like what the audience thinks about certain topics. So, for example, if there was a particularly unpopular politician, and there was a narrative about this politician, and then you ran a side-by-side prediction market, and the media organisation had a narrative saying, actually, this is really bad, but the prediction market says the audience thinks it's very good. You now have this kind of transparency that you've never really had, where actually it's normally one way with media. When you're watching TV, the news, even digital publishing, it's a one-way conversation. Prediction markets make it two. And I think it's a challenge that we're going to overcome. But I think it's about, again, pushing away from probably politics. We see a lot of political markets and they do very well. But I actually think it's probably the more light-hearted social elements. Even things like entertainment, who's going to win the Oscars, the Grammys, these sort of things. And even more kind of fun elements. Is Taylor Swift going to get booed at the Super Bowl, for example? These are things that are kind of funny and light-hearted. And I think these are the things that sports fans and fans of entertainment and news are going to find interesting.
And think with your mates when you're just having a laugh, you're like, tenor, this or that is going to happen, right? It's those kind of elements that are trying to be captured by these markets.
Pretty powerful stuff. This widget, just kind of put in any site, is interesting. But how are you dealing with the actual user experience? Crypto users, I don't even believe in crypto users anymore. I think the block space consumers who have everything taken care of them, they're going to be the ones that really use everything. How are you guys dealing with this?
Technically speaking, the goal is to abstract away as much of the blockchain as possible, right?
Course,
in everything we've done on the Aventus
You probably
front,
don't want to talk about blockchain.
It's not relevant. At the end of the day, you are getting something that you previously couldn't get. Prediction markets are nothing new, right? This is economic theory that has existed for decades. And it's never actually worked because everybody's always skewing the odds to try and make a buck. So the transparency property of the blockchain means that this can now work, but people don't care necessarily why it works. I don't think a single person has asked us in any interview, why do prediction markets work? People are just seeing that they do work. So the tech is extracting most of it away and making it a Web 2 experience in the Web 3 world.
I think the problem's been intermediaries in the past skewing the results. And the blockchain provides us this transparency that essentially means that the data is much more valuable. So this is why you're seeing blockchain-based prediction markets being much more accurate than previous prediction markets, and things like gambling markets and other markets are there because there's no third party sitting there trying to find an edge for themselves. It's literally letting the market operate freely as it should. And I think that's the key in terms of getting truly accurate data, is that blockchain element. And then touching on the kind of the UX and the UI side of things. It's super important for us. So a lot of our partners have traditional Web 2 users. So they are not used to some of the technology challenges that the blockchain has and Web 3 has. We try to remove all of that. So whether it's using credit or debit cards to onboard, to basically onboard seamlessly, that's something that we've integrated from day one. Making sure that the language that we use is straightforward as well. And it sounds very simple, but I think some people I've created platforms where it's still hard to understand if you're new to this. And our big push here is really about user adoption. We want to bring as many people into the Web3 space as possible.
Sure.
Now, they might not know that they're moving into the Web3 space as they're doing that. But that's kind of part of the journey. And I go back to this kind of the iPhone or smartphone debate, which is I have no idea how my smartphone really works, but it works.
Yeah.
And I don't really think about it. I don't need a tutorial to understand it. It just works. And I think what we tried to build is something that people can use really simply and understand, and it just works.
So Sports Illustrated has however many thousand users, and they're going to have the
70
option.
million monthly actives.
70. Really?
Yeah, third biggest sports website in the US and North America at the moment.
Wow,
I actually think
that's mad.
it just hit 80 million this month.
A lot of people don't know that, right? That's why I always like to throw that number out there. People think it's a magazine because it's still,
Okay. I had no idea. So they have 70, 80 million users, and they can connect a debit card or a credit card, and they can start participating in these markets.
Exactly. So
Right.
essentially from sipredict.com, you go on, literally register, connect a wallet or a credit or debit card, and you're ready to go. Really simple.
The symbol problem actually isn't relevant here. It doesn't matter how many accounts somebody has, right? Because they're all just putting their money up. So what does it matter, right?
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you've got to go through MoonPay's KYC if you want to onboard fiat, right? So that's going to create a one-to-one mapping. And then you can also come with just for the more existing Web3 users, you can just bring your existing wallet and deposit. But the
I
whole
see.
site
Good.
works with embedded wallets. So self-custodial, but you're not actually getting access to that private key, and there's a one-to-one mapping between users and wallets.
Amazing stuff.
I think, again, back to all of the projects that we're doing and all of our platforms, it will all run on the simplicity basis. Because prediction markets are inherently simple. It's one of the most simple philosophies around economics there's ever been. It's just that we needed to find the right way to make it fair and make sure that it was transparent.
So Sports Illustrated is big. There's another big project you're working on, which we'll talk about in a second. But are there any other partners you want to discuss right now? Or
There's a lot of partners coming up, but there's a few they'll be announcing at Cannes this year, at Cannes Lions.
Oh, yeah.
It's obviously a big event for the media sector. So there's going to be some exciting announcements there. Okay. And then obviously within the sporting arena, we've got Sports Illustrated, but it's been incredible to work with the team at Polkadot and the team at Inter Miami.
Inter Miami, yeah. So we spent a lot of money to get the rights to make an app with Inter Miami. However, nobody's started doing it until you guys came along, I believe.
Yeah.
What's this been like?
Well, I think for me, it's also a learning curve in terms of when you're contracting with big sports clubs and leagues. And I think from our experience, things probably would run slightly differently in the future, just because I think being prepped with the technology stack that's going to come in to drive those users, the fan engagement, and really get the results that the Polkadot community want is key. And I think whenever we work on a project like this, it's how do we make sure we can foresee what we need before we commit? Because then you're into the contract quite far, and actually you need to be able to deliver value back to the community. I think the amazing thing here is that you've got such visibility with players like Messi and Suarez, and Miami itself is a very Web3 friendly place. I think there's a huge opportunity there. And with the right engagement tools and what we're building at the moment, I think we've got an incredible way where we can really bring people onto the platform, get them engaging, get them interacting, and build value for the community.
Fantastic.
And just in kind of dovetailing what Stuart was saying about the structuring of the deal, right? Everybody's always the most engaged right before they get paid. So the Miami deal is great for exposure, but so far it hasn't necessarily translated into massive on-chain users.
Yeah.
Because there was a bunch of work that still needed to be done that we've been going through. MLS approvals, for one. When you want to bring in an app, we've had countless legal back and forth with the MLS to get this to where they're happy with. Even basic stuff, not prediction market stuff, just basic data protection items. Those are the current bits that are going back and forth.
Sure, yeah.
So in future, we would ideally help Polkadot in any of these, if they're going to drive prediction markets, at the point of conversion of the contracts, getting everybody to push through some of these other elements, because they're just unknown unknowns. Nobody's acted in bad faith here, but there's so many other details you need to get through. What does the SaaS agreement look like? Who owns the users? Where does the app go? What does the MLS think? Who's going to promote it? What are you actually going to give the users? And these bits are only getting fleshed out now a year into the partnership.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
we're racing to get it done, and
Good.
we very much think we will. There's a proposal currently live to help support elements of it. I mean, Galactic has already financed probably about $1 million worth of build into this because
Wow.
it's a great project. Polkadot's
yeah.
put 7 in to get it. Galactic's put money there to make it happen. There's a proposal now asking for a contribution from the community treasury to help with the final launch and some of the marketing hard costs.
Good.
But the goal is to ultimately roll this out. And what it'll be is a fan trivia app. People can answer questions about the club, earn points,
Yeah.
and redeem those points against essentially mintable NFTs, but we can't say the NFT word, but experiences with the club,
Sure.
like, get on the plane with Messi or show up at the stadium or things like that.
It's an app for actually their global fan base, if I understand correctly.
Absolutely.
Entirely.
They're going to be able to collect points by making predictions.
Not predictions.
No.
Fan trivia.
Participating in trivia, of course.
See, this is the kind of language we're talking about.
No,
we have
of
to
course,
get
it
right.
makes sense. Yeah, I totally get it. So they're participating in trivia and earning points, which they can redeem.
Yes.
So we have this. It's not a currency; it's a point system.
Yes, free.
A free point system. Are those points going to be on chain?
Those points are going to be on chain. Every single user is going to have a wallet.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to move these points, or maybe mates will answer trivia together, collect their points together to ultimately redeem the
Do
experience,
that
right?
too, of course.
And I think for me, what's really interesting here is it's how do we start educating the sports rights holders as well? So not just the users and the fans.
Yeah.
It's actually when we're engaging with brands like Inter Miami or the MLS or any of the leagues and sports rights holders, Web3's new to it. It's not a big vertical they've operated in.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard for those owners to understand what drives value to blockchains. So what we see as part of our role here is actually helping them understand where the value is derived, and then having the right technology product that basically secures that value. And I think it's been a great learning curve for us working with the various teams. But I think it's allowed us to reflect on how possibly to structure things better in the future. And I think it's really good that the community is starting to see kind of some of the issues, but also the solutions coming to the table.
And I think actually Chris and Sal deserve a bit of a shout out here
100%,
because those guys have been working on this for years with very little thanks or kind of public recognition. And they're still there. Every conversation we have, they're pushing it, they're driving things.
Chris and Sal, you've been amazing. The guys are incredible and they work around the clock on this. It's not easy. And again, the first major project like this Polkadot's done with a soccer club.
Yeah.
So I think the challenges that have been on the table have been incredible.
Huge.
But Chris and Sal have done an incredible job.
This app is just for Inter Miami. You've gotten clearance with the MLS. Is it going to expand, or what's the idea?
So that's the goal.
Yeah.
I think the conversation we've had already are that this is something that could be across the whole league.
Yeah.
Now, obviously nothing confirmed yet, but I think this is the benefit, is if you build this once, you can then use it time and time again.
Sure.
That can be across not just the MLS, but any other sort of sports partnership.
Yeah.
You now have a framework there that we know the rights that we need going in, so the community can know what it needs to negotiate in terms of the contractual elements, but also it's got a ready-made technology product that as soon as the contract's done, we can start plugging in.
Crazy.
And then from day one, you're getting value back. And I think that's the big learning here is we've got to move quick because these partnerships are not multi-year partnerships or short periods of time.
Yeah.
So it's how do you lock in that value, make sure the community can see the value and then justify or evaluate if it's worth continuing these sort of partnerships.
And we've been working on this. I think we've spoken to the top of the MLS. This is through one of our partners, Swiftsure, Ben Martin, who runs that. He's actually here. He used to drive the commercial deals for Man U, Man City, Amazon tickets. And he helped connect us with the top of the MLS as part of this deal. This is what he does for business, kind of connecting Web3 businesses to sports sponsorships.
I see.
And in those conversations, the MLS was very clear with us. No clubs are going to do prediction markets themselves. This is owned by the MLS, and we're already exploring this. So
Wow.
let's hope that we can get Polkadot as part of that conversation. But we're definitely starting to see that there's an interest there. The question is legal in nature around what can be done safely today for a league-wide rollout.
Understood.
It's been quite interesting dealing with the team at Swiftsure and Ben Martin because obviously he's come from the side of the club previously, so been at Manchester United, been at Man City, so he understands the mentality from the club perspective on like their understanding where they currently sit in terms of Web3, blockchain, how the rights are are contracted.
Yeah.
So it's been really interesting to have somebody who's come from that perspective. You marry that with what's going on in terms of the Web3 world and various different participants, and now you're starting to see these get the bridge being built between the two sides. And I think you're going to see a lot of really impressive partnerships, because I think up until now there's been a lot of expensive badges vault, which are, we're going to put a badge in there, we're going to get millions of views, but it's not a Samsung, it's not a Nike, it's not something you can walk into any shop and buy. So it's really about how do we create value through the technology that's going to create that TVL or users or the metrics that we require, and being able to work with the clubs closely is really important.
And again, this is all going to be on Truth Network?
All on the Truth Network, all within the
Aventus,
Aventus
all on
ecosystem.
Polkadot. Wow.
That's how it flows down.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And one more question, back to the points real quick. These points, you said they're free, but can people buy them with credit cards?
Nope.
No?
This is one of the legal requirements.
Understood.
You earn them for answering fan trivia,
Yep.
for engaging in social interactions,
Yes, good.
and for doing educational
For participating.
content. You can do different videos, learn about the club, learn about the technology,
good.
learn about Polkadot, and you earn points for completing these, and then you can redeem them.
But these tokens, which are on Galactic, which are on Aventus, which are on Polkadot, they can move freely between wallets.
They can move freely between wallets, but they are within the Truth Network,
Yeah.
and there are no DEXs or
course
centralized exchanges that have integrated the
And
Truth
why would they
Network.
be? So, that's very exciting stuff. Congratulations on getting this far. Obviously not an easy path, actually. And thank you very much for picking up the mantle as well.
Yeah, it's been incredible, and it's great to be part of the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah.
One of the things we found is that Alan's obviously been part of the ecosystem longer than I have.
Yeah.
But the support from not only the community but various people that are involved is incredible. And I think everyone's got the same goal here: is how do we drive more users and more value? And we're super excited to be part of that.
I'm stoked about Truth as well because it is a consumer-facing product. I mean, it's going to create consumer-facing products,
Yeah.
which is very exciting as well.
I think there's actually something worth mentioning on the Truth front. So the way the Truth Network's rolling out is in a node sales model. So the goal is to distribute the consensus as wide as possible. And they're going to be up to 50,000 nodes or software programs people
Yeah.
run on their computer. I always
Yeah.
get asked, what's a node? It's just a piece of, it's like Microsoft Word running on your computer.
Yeah.
But that's busy rolling out. So the partners, the blockchainfactory.io, they are the guys distributing this, and they're already 15,000 nodes. So the more decentralized you can get that network, the more people with a vested interest providing their compute to help secure the prediction markets, the better. So if anybody wants to learn more, blockchainfactory.io is a great kind of entry point.
And this was kind of how you did the raise as well. It was a very unique way to get a piece of the network or become a piece of the network.
There were software licenses sold in this way, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we work with the Truth Network to basically bring on more projects into the prediction market space. So the way that the fundings work, the Truth Network essentially gives grants to Galactic to go and acquire various different licenses,
I
work
see.
with partners. So it's been a really collaborative partnership.
Okay.
And the team there are fantastic. And the same with the team, the Blockchain Factory, they've done an incredible job bringing on partners in terms of node holders and owners. So
Yeah.
It's been a fantastic 6 months working with them. And it looks like it's going to be an incredible future.
One more thing on prediction markets. One use case that we haven't spoken about yet is this governance idea, right? Using it, they call it Futarchy, right? But this way of trying to figure out the direction of a network. Are you looking at this at all, or is that outside of the scope of what we're building right now?
Absolutely. So we've got a variety. I think apply it to the media world, though, right?
Okay.
So there's no like pure Web3 play yet with the clients because Galactic's just B2B. There's no B2C market.
I think this is a good move as well, yeah.
But think of what that looks like when you apply it to the media world. How do
Okay.
we deal with journalistic integrity? How do we do the due diligence on the sources of data or potential leads? You can create prediction markets around, do we think this piece of information is actually legitimate?
That is awesome.
You can
Yeah, I
earn
see it.
money for providing the truth and then putting up a stake saying this is the genuine truth and have people bet against you and earn if they are misaligned. So that's kind of the Futarchy principles,
It
but
is,
applied
yeah.
to the media space.
I think the beginning with prediction markets has always been getting people to use them and understand their power. And I think you're going to see a much wider scope in terms of what they can be used for. Because I think, like, even if you look at the healthcare space, the legal space, all of these have really interesting dynamics. that you can use prediction markets to help predict outcomes. So I think there's things that
Imagine predictions about like legal proceedings or something like this. Like
exactly. And,
Yeah, oh, now we're talking.
And this is where I think it'll be interesting is you think about some of the high profile trials that are coming up. And,
exactly. Yeah.
and I think you've got all of these elements that are quite interesting.
Did he do it?
Did he do it?
Yeah, yeah.
Did he do it? Indeed.
Yeah, right.
And I think this is
That's
the balance, is exploring new territories, but at the same time being focused on driving our core business into that media space first of all.
I love that. With journalism, you also have social media networks as well. I mean, this could fight misinformation or whatever as well, right? People could bet on.
I think that's one of the key bits, right? Like when you look at media companies today, they are struggling in a world of generative AI that can optimize fake news better than real journalists doing proper work, uncovering truths and distributing that. So when you can't get the truth heard by people as well, giving people a way to profit off of the truth and recapture that attention, not just the attention, a revenue stream for the publication that is not a zero-sum game with the user. Everybody wins who provides the truth, including the publication. That's what I think is so powerful about this. And that's what I loved about Stuart's theory here, right? We could bring the technology, but this strategy around taking it to the media industry who already have the eyeballs, but need to be able to find the truth in a world and unlock a revenue stream that's beneficial for all is so incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and I think by doing it, I look at a lot of the prediction markets currently out there, and they've got the model of acquiring one user at a time. It's very difficult to do that. It's very expensive to do that.
Yeah.
And our model was acquiring millions of users through partnerships. And I think it's a very quick speed at which you can grow your user base. But also I think you can then redefine your product quicker because you've got so many users coming on and giving you feedback straight away.
Totally.
It's a different model that we built compared to some of the other markets, but so far it's been quite successful.
This revenue stream you keep speaking about, the revenue stream is the platform itself betting on the market?
It's a rev share, right? So
it's a share.
volume.
I see, yeah.
Think of it like an exchange kind of, where assets move back and forth. The exchange charges a piece of just the asset changing hands.
Yeah.
Same thing for Galactic. It enables that 0.3% every time somebody places a prediction or settles a prediction, 0.3% is split off,
You
and that
partner
is
and then
shared.
share that, yeah. Incredible stuff. Alan, is this going to be your focus now, or are there other build-outs you're doing with Aventus? And
So my job as the founder of Aventus in the world of Aventus 2.0 is to drive as many app chains as we can and to ensure that the app chains that are driven are as successful as possible, because each of these app chains end up paying back to the Aventus stakeholders ultimately. So absolutely, a lot of my time is going to this at the moment because this is one of the most promising things in the Aventus ecosystem.
Sure, of course.
But it's not the only focus. Obviously, there are a variety of other elements.
Okay, fine. And Stuart, how can people get a piece of Truth Network?
Well, in terms of Truth Network, blockchainfactory.io, and
This is the way right now, yeah?
Yeah, in terms of the node sales, that's the best place to go and understand exactly how they can offer.
If you run that software, you're going to get true tokens. I saw the pie chart of the tokenomics is really nice, by the way.
Yeah, and if you go to Truth Network, truth-network.io, you can find out more on the white papers and tokenomics, everything there. Blockchainfactory.io for everything in terms of getting involved in terms of nodes. And then to keep up to date with Galactic, I would look at galacticmarkets.io, our website, follow us on X, and follow our other channels as well, SI Predict. We'd definitely check that out on Twitter, TikTok over the next few months. It's going to be very busy and active. And with the NBA Finals, key date for us, 26th, 27th of May, we'll be going live with the markets. You'll see a lot of marketing around it. And then for the games themselves, we'll be live streaming with some of the biggest content creators in the world. So they'll be on stream and you'll get to see some nice interactions between some of the kind of Hall of Famers and the gaming Hall of Famers too.
We get a lot of people on the show, but this is like the holy trinity. We have the great idea, the expertise to build it out, and the customers to use it, all coming out in the next few weeks. This is very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope as many people as possible who are watching this get involved in some shape or form. If nothing else, predicting who's going to win the NBA Finals.
Exactly.
Can't wait to see it, guys. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It was awesome to have you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Jack.